Welcome back in the kitchen. Today, or for this episode, we're going to have a closer look at some few quick and easy things you can do with broccoli and cabbage. Now, all these vegetables in the brassica family are really healthy. Broccoli, spring cabbage, red cabbage, white cabbage, all the other sorts of cabbage you can get. But how do you cook them? One thing is that they're healthy. They contain quite a few sulfurous compounds, so they provide bioavailable sulfur. They contain selenium, vitamin K, K1 that is, the type that's important for blood clotting. They contain folate in its natural form, which has no downsides whatsoever, but it's really important in terms of detoxification and biotransformation, for brain biochemistry, for handling hormonal levels or the production of sex hormones and the metabolism of them, just to mention a few things. So they taste, they're really healthy, but how do you make them taste nice? For starters, with the broccoli, never throw away the stem. I see many people who actually throw away the stem, which is a pity. What you do need, of course, with the stem is just to shave it, so to speak, or pare it the surface if the skin is too thick. Either take a knife or a vegetable peeler and get rid of it, also if it has stumps like these. And then also just cut the dry bottom off. But the rest here, never throw it away. It has lots of flavor, so it's pity. If you throw it away because you're missing out on something. So the way to cut broccoli stalk is first to split it in two, like that, so you have two halves. Then, holding on each side with your fingers, first slice it into in discs, sections, whatever you want to call it, like that. Then sliver it lengthwise, so we get long thin sticks. And then simply chop, chop, chop. Now we have little cubes of broccoli stalk, and the stalk or the stem of the broccoli tastes really good. When you sliver it or cut it finely enough, it actually tastes like fresh shelled peas from the pod. So never ever throw this away. Well, you can, but it's a pity. But it tastes really good, and of course it's also a waste. I'll just slice the other half as well. So this is the broccoli stalk, stem, whatever you want to call it. When it's sliced finely enough into small enough pieces, or rather diced, it makes the base for an excellent salad. So we'll come back to that. But then we have the top here. So the flowerets, of course, they taste really good stir fried. Oh. Something in the oven, so I'll just turn it off. Stir fried, raw as well, you could. Or let me show you how to have instant broccoli ready for use. So first I will just slice the broccoli flowerets into smaller pieces, and then we want to heat them. The thing is, all these vegetables of the brassica family, also in English it's also called cruciferous vegetables, that they're actually quite fragile. So some of these compounds in them that are highly beneficial, amongst others, isothiocyanates and sulforaphane, are also quite heat sensitive. So if you want to avail yourself of the phytochemicals and micronutrients, especially the phytochemicals in cruciferous vegetables, then you have to make sure you don't prepare them at too high temperatures for too long. If you do, the isothiocyanates will be broken down. And if you're a bit into biochemistry, an isothiocyanate often means there's some sort of cyanogenic compound in there, but also the thio means there's sulfur. So what happens is when you overcook or overheat cruciferous vegetables, then you get various sulfurous compounds released, and they taste and smell really bad. So that's actually also a pointer. If you've cooked your broccoli or cabbage for so long, it starts smelling a bit dodgy, which isn't very long. Often, we're not talking more than 5 minutes before the flavor starts going really odd. Then you've not only ruined the flavor, but you've actually also destroyed some of the beneficial micronutrients in there that seem to have a quite not potential, but a quite big effect on health, because they help upregulate a lot of genes, or simply alter gene expression towards a state of greater health for most people. There are unfortunately a small group of people who are genetically or who have genotypes that will make them null responders, meaning if they eat broccoli and cruciferous vegetables, they won't actually have the activation of genes that code for glutathione, peroxidase, and so forth, but they'll still get the selenium and the vitamin K and the folate and the calcium and so forth, but they might not have the same effect at the genetic level. Nonetheless, you still shouldn't overcook your broccoli or cabbage, because, as I told you, it will taste really foul, and we don't want that. So the trick then is just to cover it with boiling water for a few minutes. So I already had boiled the water, but I'll just do it again quickly. Or bring it to a boil, and then pour it on top of our broccoli. As I said, 1 or 2 minutes is enough. In fact, if you heat your broccoli quickly, just for 1 or 2 minutes, then you will actually make the isothiocyanates in the broccoli, or if we're using the cabbage or any other cruciferous vegetable, it actually increase their bioavailability. So heating very quickly like this, which is basically it's like a controlled form of steaming, or steaming in the traditional manner, or stir frying, are all ways to just not only enhance the flavor, because you'll actually get a bit of extra sweetness here, but also to increase the bioavailability of the isothiocyanates and some of the other sulfurous compounds that are highly beneficial for quite a few people. Now, since I have some spring cabbage, which is also a cruciferous vegetable, let's just deal with a bit of that. So these large outer leaves I'll just leave for later. I'll show you a brilliant trick with them. You can actually use these to make wraps, but for now I just want some of the thin inner leaves. And see, the way to cut cabbage, start by splitting the head in half. Another reason why you want a large knife, you want it long enough that you can easily split the head in half. Then, that's the easiest way at least, split it into quarters lengthwise, and now you want to get rid of the base, so just do it like that. Again, if you have a sharp kitchen knife, then not really easy, so simply cut here along. You don't want anything to go to waste, then you just do like me and then we'll just drain our broccoli, because the 2 minutes are up. We don't want to overcook it, so pour it into a sieve or colander. Bit of cold water on top, and as you can see, the broccoli is still nice and crisp. So that tells us that we cooked it for the right amount of time. Also, it doesn't taste or it doesn't smell dodgy. Actually, in a moment when it cools down, it will develop a bit of sweetness. But anyway, back to our cabbage. So first, I'll sliver some of it, and then we'll just make a really good salad dressing, or dressing that is healthier to go along with our broccoli and cabbage, because of course a classic with cabbage would be coleslaw, except if you make a coleslaw, at least with a lot of the mayo you can buy, it won't be quite healthy. One thing might be the amount of fat, but that, of course, there's a bit of debate back and forth whether it's the amount of fat or most certainly the quality of the fat, and the quality of fat made or used for most industrial mayos is quite horrendous. So forget those and make your own with egg yolks and some high quality oil, or what we're going to do here, we'll actually make a sort of mayo from cashews. Oh, I can't help myself. It all tastes so good. So, making our mayo is real easy. Just make sure the blender's all clean. So I have a deciliter of cashews, which is about half a cup. I have a deciliter of water, which is about half a cup. Then I want some lemon juice and zest. So we take half an organic lemon. Grate the zest. Just the outside parts I don't want to grate too far down and get the white pith, which is quite bitter. Press the juice. And then we will blend it all. It has the texture of mayo. Now, in fact, this cashew, this is like the base of a really good cashew cream or dressing I use for all sorts of things. So this is just the basic form. Then what we need to do now is add or tweak the flavor. So just like this, it's very nice, the texture, lovely, creamy, but in terms of flavor you can still do other things. So since we want it to be a sort of mayo, I'm actually going to add a few drops of fish sauce just to increase the whole flavor experience. As I've mentioned in an earlier video, fish sauce has this umami flavor which enhances everything, and we'll add a bit of vinegar as well. We'll take a bit of apple cider vinegar. And a bit more salt. Stir it all together. Pour it on our cabbage. simply leave it to marinate. Now, after as little as 15 minutes, this begins tasting like real coleslaw, except it's a lot healthier. The only downside, of course, is if you are allergic to cashews, then this would be a no-go, or have problems with legumes in general. But there you go. So a few things with cruciferous vegetables. I mean, these, they taste lovely just like that. Now they're cooled, they've actually become sweet. And we had our chopped broccoli stem, and in another video I'll show you how to make this into a really scrumptious salad. Bon appetit!